Maybe technology was a long time ago. The first electric piano, the clavichord, was from the 1700s. That was really surprising to me. Maybe this idea of taking nature and turning it into technology is much older than we think. And it's only in modern times that the general public is getting access to these things. If we look at Hero of Alexandria, he had extraordinarily sophisticated steam-powered machines in antiquity, thousands of years ago. If we look at the water gardens in the Middle Ages, these seem analogous to the circuits that we see now in electronics. Maybe things like computing machinery and computer programs are much older than we imagine. The ancient Sumerians had this concept of the May. Coincidentally, M-E as in meme. May-mays, as they're called. But maybe these mays were sort of like computer programs. They were essentially recipes for how to do things. How to run a family, how to run an empire, how to be king. When we think of something like a recipe for bread, is it not a computer program? Even the best bakers in the world don't really understand flour. They don't really understand eggs and how it all comes together, and yeast and so on. It's extraordinarily complicated. It's literally alive. There's millions of chemicals involved. Very complicated phase transitions. Ordinary physics, we think of, you add heat to ice and it melts. If you add heat to eggs, it turns into a solid. So it's a different kind of physics. And we have recipes, not understandings, but recipes, codes for how to create baguettes and croissants and cakes and so on. And maybe that's no different from civilization. We don't really understand nation states or empires or cities, but we have codes. We have constitutions. We have laws. We have things like the Magna Carta, which seem like software. We can think of a courtroom as a kind of computer. We could think of Congress as a kind of machine that manipulates information, not altogether unlike your phone or your laptop. And these are older than Egypt. These are older than time. That maybe civilization was built on top of these data structures, these information processing algorithms. Maybe we can use modern tools like AI and advances in computer science and information processing and data centers to better understand our civilization. Not just where it came from and how it's operating now, but most importantly, where it's going. Should we think of governments like software? Should we think of societies like GitHub repositories? And most importantly, how do we keep this code open source? Martin Luther, he took the printing press and he turned the Bible into the everyday language, into the vernacular. And the monopoly of the Holy Roman Empire essentially collapsed. Ordinary people could get a single book, and you could put this book in your home and read it to your family. And like an AI training set, this corpus, this text, would be enough to install a sophisticated adult, or the prerequisites for that, into your children. How are we programming our children today? Do we give our kids tablets? Do we let them loose on TikTok, on YouTube? Do we give them YouTube Kids? Is that the same thing? Will that create proper adults? I think we need to be mindful of how we're programming the next generation in terms of this media. I think it needs to be open source. And most importantly, we need to examine that source code to make sure that we're not full of viruses and information parasites, and essentially what we might have previously called spiritual demons that are running amok in this computational system that we call culture. We need a new antivirus. We need to be watching what's happening, to go down at the, as a metaphor, the chip level in the minds of young people, to see how are they developing. Are they being filled with brain rot? Or are they setting down the foundation that will help humanity survive the next 1,000 and hopefully the next 1,000,000 years?